You've been begging your whole life, not always with words. Sometimes it's with your behavior. Staying too long after you should have left. Giving too much when you should have pulled back. Calling again when you got no answer the first time. Adjusting yourself, shrinking yourself, contorting yourself into something more acceptable to people who never appreciated the original version of you. That's not love. That's not loyalty. That's not even effort. That's desperation. And desperation doesn't attract people. It repels them. But here's what nobody tells you. The moment you stop chasing, everything changes. The moment you stop rearranging yourself to fit into spaces that were never built for you. People start noticing you. They start wondering about you. They start coming to you. Not because you became better, because you became unavailable. This isn't luck. This is psychology, and Machiavelli understood it 500 years ago. He watched kings beg for loyalty from men who would eventually betray them. He watched men hand away their power by being too eager, too available, too desperate to please. And he recorded exactly what separated those who commanded rooms from those who were walked over. But before we go any further, let me be crystal clear. What you're about to learn is not about games. It's not about manipulation. It's not about becoming cold or calculating or cruel. This is about understanding the psychological reality of attraction and influence so you can protect yourself, operate from strength, and stop handing your power to people who were never going to honor it. Today, you'll discover the 6 power principles that make people chase you. Not because you're playing hard to get, because you've genuinely become someone worth chasing. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I am the prize, not the pursuit. Let's begin. Number 1, scarcity commands respect. Machiavelli once said, men value things more when they are difficult to obtain. Think about the last time you wanted something you couldn't easily get. A product always sold out. A person who was always busy. An opportunity that required something from you before you could access it. Whatever it was, the difficulty made it more desirable. The scarcity made it more valuable. That's not an accident. That's human psychology, operating exactly as designed. Now, think about how you've been showing up in your own life. Are you rare, or are you the person who responds in seconds, who rearranges their schedule for anyone who asks, who says yes, before they're even finished asking the question? Most people believe that being available, being helpful, being eager to please will make them more likable, more attractive, more valued. And what actually happens is the opposite. When you're always available, people stop valuing your time. When you always say yes, your yes means nothing. When you make it effortless to access you, people take you for granted. Not because they're bad people, because that's what humans do with unlimited resources. They stop counting them. This is not cynicism. This is human psychology, and the sooner you stop fighting it, the sooner you can use it. Real scarcity is not pretending to be busy. It's not leaving people on red for 3 days to seem interesting. It's actually building a life so full of purpose, so rich with goals and relationships and work that genuinely matters, that your time and attention become rare by default. When you have real priorities that you protect, when you have standards for how you spend your energy, your presence becomes valuable because it actually is valuable. 2 people are in the same situation. Someone sends them a message that doesn't deserve a response. The first person fires back immediately, stays engaged for hours, ends the conversation drained and aggravated. The second person reads it, feels nothing, and returns to what they were doing. Which person do you think gets more respect? Which one are people more careful around? Start creating real scarcity in your life. Have things you're working toward. Have places to be. Have a life that doesn't pause every time someone wants a piece of your attention. A full person doesn't beg for a seat at someone's table. They're too busy building their own. Number 2. Self-containment is magnetic. Machiavelli once said, a man who is used to acting in one way never changes. He must come to ruin when the times change. What he observed at its core was this. The moment your emotional state becomes dependent on other people, you've surrendered your power to them. When you need someone to validate you, you become controllable. When you need someone to approve of you, they can withdraw that approval to keep you in line. When you need a specific person to stay in order to feel okay, you'll accept any version of them just to avoid the alternative. And they know it. Maybe they don't say it. Maybe they can't even articulate it, but they feel it, and it changes how they treat you. Self-containment is the art of being your own emotional source. Your confidence doesn't live in compliments. Your worth isn't attached to response times. Your stability doesn't collapse when someone doesn't meet your expectations because your foundation was never built on them to begin with. Most people leak their need. They laugh too hard at things that aren't funny to earn approval. They overshare too soon to fast-track connection. They over-explain their choices to people who didn't ask because they need to feel understood. And every single time they do this, they communicate one thing: I need something from you to feel okay about myself. Self-contained people communicate the opposite. They are complete without you, and that completeness is magnetic. Think about someone who has ever made you feel like you were chasing them. Chances are it wasn't because they were playing games. It was because they genuinely didn't need anything from you. They were fine with or without your attention. They were whole whether you called or didn't call. And that wholeness created a gravitational pull. Here's how you build this. Stop outsourcing your emotional state. When something goes wrong, resist the immediate reach for reassurance. Sit with it. Process it. Build the muscle of self-regulation. When you do something well, acknowledge it internally before seeking external validation. When someone doesn't respond the way you hoped, don't chase. Let the discomfort pass. It always does. Self-containment isn't about suppressing your emotions. It's about not making other people responsible for managing them. The most attractive version of you isn't the version that needs people. It's the version that chooses them. Choose from strength. That shift in your internal state will change everything around you. Number 3. The power of letting go first. Machiavelli once said, "He who builds on the people builds on mud." What he meant was this: anyone whose foundation is the approval or loyalty of others has no real foundation at all. Because the moment that approval is threatened, they collapse. And the person who can threaten their foundation owns them completely. Most people cling. They hold on to jobs that disrespect them because they fear the unknown. They hold on to relationships that diminish them because they're afraid of being alone. They hold on to expired versions of themselves because change feels like loss. And the clinging is the problem. Because people and opportunities can sense desperation the way animals sense fear. When you grip too tight, you communicate that you have no alternatives. And when you have no alternatives, you can be treated any way someone chooses. Letting go first is one of the most powerful moves available to you. Not because you don't care, because your willingness to walk away proves that you have options, that you respect yourself too much to stay somewhere you're not valued, that your standards aren't a performance, they're a genuine line you won't cross. Here's what most people misunderstand. Letting go doesn't mean cutting everyone off and becoming an island. It means holding every relationship, every opportunity, every outcome with an open hand. You want it, but you don't need it. You value it, but you're not dependent on it. You're invested, but you're not desperate. And what happens when you hold something with an open hand? The right things stay. The wrong things, things that were only held in place by your desperation, they leave. And that's not a loss, that's a filter you should have had the whole time. Your willingness to lose something is what makes you powerful enough to keep it. The moment someone realizes you can walk away and be fine, they stop testing you. They start showing up. Let go of the idea that you need to earn the right to be valued. Let go of the belief that if you just give more, adjust more, wait longer, something will change. The right people don't require that kind of effort. Stop spending that kind of effort on the wrong people. Number 4, value is demonstrated, not declared. Machiavelli once said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Here's a trap most people fall into. They tell people how valuable they are instead of showing them. They announce their loyalty instead of demonstrating it. They explain their worth instead of embodying it. They defend their character to people who have already decided how they feel. Think about the person who constantly tells you how loyal they are, how trustworthy, how good of a friend or partner they are. Now notice this: the people who are actually loyal, actually trustworthy, actually exceptional, they never say it. They just are it. Words are cheap, actions are expensive, and people are far better at detecting the difference than you might think. When someone is constantly emphasizing their value, it creates the opposite effect of what they intend. It signals insecurity. It suggests they're aware that their value isn't obvious and they're compensating with words. And that compensation makes people trust them less, not more. Real value moves quietly. It doesn't need to announce itself because it's visible in how you carry yourself, in the decisions you make, in the consistency between what you say and what you do, in the fact that you don't chase people who don't see your worth, because you trust that the right people will see it without being coached. Stop explaining yourself to people who aren't paying attention. Stop arguing your case to people who've already decided. Stop proving your loyalty to people who keep questioning it. These are all forms of begging. Subtle, sophisticated, dressed up as honesty or communication. But still begging. Instead, do the work, show up consistently, build something, develop yourself, create results. Let your life speak so loudly that you don't have to. Here's what happens when you live this way. People start noticing without you asking them to. They start valuing your presence, not because you told them to, but because they've witnessed it firsthand. And the ones who need you to explain your value, they were never your audience to begin with. Your value is not up for debate. Stop debating it. Number 5, mystery is control. Machiavelli once said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." But what most people miss is the deeper implication. The truly powerful are neither fully known nor fully predicted. They are incomplete in other people's minds, and that incompleteness creates obsession. Mystery is one of the most underrated tools available to you. When people feel like they fully understand you, when they can predict your responses, anticipate your reactions, and finish your sentence, they stop being curious about you. Familiarity creates comfort, and comfort has its place. But comfort is the enemy of desire. The most magnetic people you know, the ones. People can't stop thinking about the ones whose approval actually means something. They all share one trait. You can never fully figure them out. Most people accidentally destroy their own mystery. They over-explain. They justify every decision. They share every emotion in real time. They post every moment of their lives online. They respond immediately. They fill every silence with words. They let people see them in every mood, every state, every moment of weakness. None of those things are wrong on their own. But together they create total transparency. And total transparency kills intrigue. Strategic mystery doesn't mean being cold or withholding yourself from genuine connection. It means understanding that not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every emotion needs to be displayed. Not every silence needs to be filled. Not every question deserves an answer. When someone asks why you made a certain decision, a complete explanation is not owed. When someone wants to know your plans, you can say you're working on something important. When someone tries to read your mood, you can choose to remain unreadable. People project onto blank spaces. When you give them a complete picture, they take it at face value and move on. When you give them fragments, their imagination fills in the rest. And imagination is always more compelling than reality. The goal isn't to be impossible to know, it's to be impossible to fully know. Always leave a little of yourself, just out of reach. That unreachable part of you is not a performance. It's your private center. The part that belongs entirely to you. Protect it. That is the source of your gravity. Number 6, outcome independence is your greatest power. Machiavelli once said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." What separates people who are chased from people who chase not looks, not money, not success, not charisma. One thing: outcome independence. The ability to care about something without needing it to go a specific way. The ability to want something without compromising yourself to secure it. Most people are outcome dependent. They need the date to go well. They need the message back. They need the deal to close. They need the approval to come. And that need bleeds into everything they do. Their energy becomes anxious. Their behavior becomes calculated not to express truth, but to secure the result they're desperate for. And people feel it every time. Think about the last time you were desperate for something to happen. A job, a relationship, an opportunity. Your desperation probably pushed it further away. You over-communicated. You over-prepared. You bent yourself into a shape you thought they wanted, and they could tell, and it pushed them away. Now think about a time when you genuinely didn't care how something turned out. Maybe you had other options. Maybe you were already in a good place. What happened? You were probably more relaxed, more yourself, more attractive to be around, and the outcome surprised you. That's not coincidence. That's what happens when the best version of you shows up without interference. Outcome independence is not indifference. It's inner security. It's the difference between confidence and performance. When you don't need a specific outcome, you're free to be completely yourself. You say what you actually think. You set the standards you actually have. You walk away from things that don't serve you without spending weeks second-guessing the decision. Building this is a practice. It starts with creating real options. When you have alternatives, no single outcome carries too much weight. It deepens when you develop your internal life, your purpose, your sense of self, so you're not looking outward to feel complete. And it solidifies when you repeatedly practice this one thing. Commit fully to how you show up. Release the outcome entirely. Be someone who gives their best without demanding a specific return. Someone who walks into every room knowing that if nothing works out, they will still be fine. Someone who is already whole, already enough, already complete. That version of you doesn't beg. That version of you doesn't chase. That version of you doesn't have to, because that version of you already has everything they need. And people who are already whole are always worth chasing. You've just learned the 6 principles, but understand what this is actually about. This is not about becoming cold. It's not about treating people like pieces in a game. It's not about being unavailable just to seem important. This is about becoming someone who genuinely doesn't need to beg, because they've built a life, a mindset, and a sense of self that is complete without anyone else's permission. When you operate from that place, people feel it. They respond to it. Not because you've manipulated them, but because humans are drawn to strength, to self-assurance, to people who seem to have figured out something that most of us are still searching for. Stop begging for people to see your value. Start living in a way that makes it impossible to ignore. Stop chasing people who aren't moving toward you. Start building something so real and so compelling that the right people can't help but move in your direction. Stop adjusting yourself to fit spaces that weren't made for you. Start becoming so precisely yourself that only the right people recognize it. Because here's the truth. You were never supposed to beg. Not for love, not for respect, not for attention, not for a seat at someone else's table. You were supposed to build your own table and let people earn their place at yours. That's not arrogance. That's the quiet, unshakable confidence of someone who finally understands their own worth. If this shifted something and you hit that like button, if you want more content on psychology, power, and becoming someone who can never be manipulated, subscribe and ring the notification bell. Drop a comment below. Which of these 6 principles are you starting today? Until next time, stop begging, start being, and let the right people chase you.